The universe has chosen its moment with exquisite timing. Today, October 21st, 2025, the object known as 3ATI, divided by Atlas, our third confirmed interstellar visitor, slips behind the blazing curtain of our sun, entering solar conjunction. For the next crucial days, this cosmic wanderer will be completely hidden from Earth's most powerful telescopes, concealed by the very star that gives us life. But even as it vanishes into this celestial blind spot, 3I divided by Atlas leaves behind a chemical calling card so extraordinary, so impossibly precise, that it has split the scientific community into two warring camps. And at the heart of this battle lies a single element: nickel. Not just any nickel, but nickel without its universal cosmic companion, iron. This is the bomb that Dr. Avi Loeb of Harvard dropped on the scientific world just 2 days ago, transforming what began as an astronomical curiosity into humanity's most profound existential crisis. Picture, if you will, a detective arriving at a crime scene on Mars and finding a human thumbprint. That's essentially what astronomers discovered when they analyzed the glowing gas cloud surrounding 3I divided by Atlas. The object's coma, that ethereal halo of sublimating material, contains nickel atoms in abundance. But here's where nature's playbook gets thrown out the window. There's virtually no iron. In every comet we've studied, in every asteroid we've analyzed, in the previous Interstellar Visitor 2I divided by Borisov, nickel and iron appear together like cosmic twins, born from the same stellar nurseries, forged in the same supernovae. Their ratio is as predictable as sunrise. Until now, the nickel-to-iron ratio in 3I divided by Atlas doesn't just break the pattern, it obliterates it by orders of magnitude. And there's only one substance known to science that produces this exact chemical signature: nickel tetracarbonyl, chemical formula Ni co-quarter. Here's the part that should make you sit up straight. Nickel tetracarbonyl doesn't exist in nature. Not on Earth, not in space, not anywhere in the known universe. It's manufactured in factories by intelligence. Dr. Loeb doesn't mince words. In his latest analysis, published as the object began its solar vanishing act, he assigns a 30 to 40% probability that 3I divided by Atlas is not of fully natural origin. Think about that percentage for a moment. This isn't some fringe theorist shouting into the void. This is one of Harvard's most respected astrophysicists saying, there's better than a 1 in 3 chance we're looking at alien technology. The nickel tetracarbonyl signature suggests something almost too fantastical to contemplate: that the object's outer shell might be coated with an industrially refined metal compound, possibly for protection during interstellar travel, possibly for purposes we can't even imagine. As 3I divided by Atlas approaches our sun, this coating sublimes transforms directly from solid to gas, releasing its telltale nickel atoms while the iron remains locked in whatever structure lies beneath. It's a Trojan horse made of metal and ice, 1,000,000 times more massive than Oumuamua, following a trajectory so perfectly aligned with our solar system's plane that it defies random chance. But the nickel mystery is only half the story. New observations have confirmed something that shouldn't exist according to our understanding of cometary physics: an anti-tail. Imagine a comet doing the impossible, shooting a jet of material directly toward the sun against the crushing pressure of solar radiation that should be pushing everything away. It's like watching a river flow uphill, or smoke falling downward instead of rising. This sunward jet suggests either an internal mechanism we don't understand, or, and this is where things get truly unsettling, deliberate propulsion. The anti-tail isn't just unusual. It's a middle finger to the laws of physics as we understand them. Combined with the industrial metal signature, it paints a picture of an object that's either the most exotic natural phenomenon ever discovered or something else entirely. Right now, as you absorb these words, 3I divided by Atlas is hidden behind our sun, traveling through the inner solar system at velocities that boggle the mind. But humanity isn't sitting idle. In what amounts to a desperate scramble to intercept this cosmic mystery, space agencies have mobilized every available asset. The European Space Agency's Hera spacecraft, originally designed for asteroid defense, has been pressed into service as our first line of investigation. Between October 25th and November 1st, Hera will fly directly through the object's ion tail, potentially sampling the very atoms of that mysterious nickel cloud. It's a blind date with what might be alien technology, a rendezvous planned in haste as our window of opportunity rapidly closes. NASA's Europa Clipper follows shortly after. Its sophisticated instruments, originally calibrated for studying Jupiter's moons, now retasked for something far more extraordinary. These spacecraft are humanity's extended hands, reaching out to touch what might be our first evidence of extraterrestrial engineering. But there's a disturbing subplot to this cosmic drama. The high-resolution images from NASA's HiRISE camera aboard the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter pictures taken during the October 2nd flyby, when 3I divided by Atlas passed extraordinarily close to Mars, remain mysteriously unreleased. In an age when space images are typically shared within hours, this weeks-long delay feeds the darkest theories. What did those cameras see that we're not being shown? The debate raging through the halls of observatories and universities isn't really about nickel or anti-tails or suspicious trajectories. It's about a question that, once asked, can never be unasked. What if we're not alone? And the evidence has been sublimating in front of our telescopes all along. The conventional scientists, led by W.B. Hugendam's team, cling to natural explanations, exotic metal carbonyl formations in the object's nucleus, unique conditions in its original star system, chemical processes we haven't encountered before. They argue that nature is vast and surprising, that we shouldn't leap to extraordinary conclusions. But nature, for all its creativity, has rules. And 3I divided by Atlas seems to be playing by a different rulebook entirely. The nickel signature is precise, not random, not chaotic, but precise in a way that suggests intention. The trajectory is optimal, not scattered, not arbitrary, but optimal for a survey of inner solar system planets. The timing is perfect, arriving just as our civilization develops the technology to detect these subtle chemical signatures, hidden during solar conjunction, just as we scramble to understand what we're seeing. Today's solar conjunction isn't just an astronomical event, it's a held breath, a pause in the cosmic conversation that began the moment we detected this object. As 3I divided by Atlas swings around our sun, reaching perihelion on October 29th, it will experience maximum thermal stress. If there's an artificial structure beneath that sublimating surface, if there's technology wrapped in that cloud of industrial metal, the next week will put it to the ultimate test. Will it survive intact? Will it reveal more of its true nature? Will the Hera and Europa Clipper missions detect something that forces us to rewrite our understanding of our place in the universe? The silence of solar conjunction is deafening, but it's the kind of silence that precedes revelations. In the darkness behind our sun, an object bearing an impossible chemical signature continues its journey, carrying either the most exotic natural phenomenon ever discovered or the calling card of another intelligence. Consider what it means if Dr. Loeb is right. Somewhere, sometime, another intelligence faced the same challenges we face. How to protect delicate machinery during interstellar travel, how to coat surfaces with durable metals, how to combine nickel and carbon monoxide into a useful industrial compound. They arrived at the same solution we did: nickel tetracarbonyl. It's either the ultimate convergent evolution civilizations separated by light years arriving at identical industrial chemistry, or it's something far more direct, a piece of their technology wearing away in our solar system's heat, leaving a trail of nickel atoms like breadcrumbs for us to follow. The 4% water content in the object's coma, compared to the water ice-dominated composition of normal comets, suggests something dense and metallic at its core. The antitail suggests active processes we don't understand. The perfect ecliptic alignment suggests intention rather than chance. And now, the nickel signature suggests manufacture. Any one of these anomalies could be dismissed. All of them together form a pattern that's becoming impossible to ignore. As October 21st, 2025 draws to a close, 3I divided by Atlas remains hidden but not passive. It continues to emit its nickel-rich plume, continues its sunward jet, continues its precisely calculated trajectory through our solar system. And we continue to watch, to calculate, to argue about what it means. In the coming days, as our robotic emissaries fly through its tail, as our telescopes strain to catch first glimpse of it emerging from solar conjunction, as those delayed high-rise images finally surface, we may get answers. Or we may get more questions. But one thing is certain: the nickel signature has changed the conversation forever. We're no longer just tracking another interstellar comet. We're investigating what might be humanity's first encounter with the industrial byproducts of another civilization. The universe, it seems, has been trying to tell us something all along. It wrote the message in nickel atoms, in impossible trajectories, in antitails that defy physics. And now, as 3I divided by Atlas hides behind our sun, we wait to see if we're brave enough to read what it says. This is no longer just astronomy. This is archaeology, the archaeology of intelligence itself, written in metal and ice, traveling at interstellar velocities, carrying either the strangest natural phenomenon ever discovered or the answer to humanity's oldest question. Today, behind the sun, that answer continues its journey through our solar system, leaving a trail of industrial metal in its wake, transforming our pale blue dot from an isolated world into a potential member of a vast cosmic community we're only beginning to imagine. The silence of solar conjunction won't last forever. When 3I divided by Atlas emerges from behind our sun, when our spacecraft taste its chemical signature, when our telescopes once again capture its light, we'll know more. But we already know enough to understand that something extraordinary is happening, something that speaks in the language of nickel and carbon, of impossible trajectories and sunward jets, something that might just be speaking to us. Thank you for joining us on this journey to the edge of human knowledge. As we await 3I divided by Atlas's emergence from solar conjunction, as our spacecraft race toward their rendezvous with destiny, remember, we're living through what might be the most important moment in human history. Please subscribe and leave a like, and together, let's watch the stars for what comes next. There's a moment in every detective story when the evidence stops being circumstantial and becomes a smoking gun. For 3, I divided by Atlas. That moment arrived in the spectral lines of nickel atoms glowing in the darkness, atoms that shouldn't exist without their iron companions. Yet there they are, blazing their industrial signature across millions of miles of space. Today, October 21st, 2025, marks not just a solar conjunction, but a conjunction of impossibilities that has left the world's astronomers speechless and the rest of us breathless. Let me paint you a picture of what shouldn't exist. In the entire cosmos, every star, every planet, every grain of cosmic dust, nickel, and iron are married at the atomic level. They're created together in the nuclear furnaces of dying stars, scattered together in supernovae, and condensed together in the birth of new worlds. Finding nickel without iron is like finding a shadow without an object to cast it. Yet when the Keck 2 telescope spectrograph analyzed the light streaming from 3 I divided by Atlas's coma, it revealed nickel emissions that dwarf the iron signal by factors that make astronomers check their instruments for errors. But there were no errors, just an impossible truth staring back at them through the data. Dr. Avi Loeb's words from 2 days ago still reverberate through the scientific community. This was never observed for any other object. Not in our solar system. Not in the previous interstellar visitors. Not anywhere in the natural universe. The only place this nickel to iron ratio exists is in our factories, where we manufacture nickel tetracarbonyl for aerospace applications, coating spacecraft components, refining ultra-pure metals for missions that must survive the harsh environment of space. It's a chemical calling card that says one thing: intelligence was here. In 8 days, 3 I divided by Atlas reaches perihelion, its closest approach to our Sunday. The temperature on its surface will soar to levels that would melt lead, vaporize organic compounds, and put any structure, natural or artificial, through the ultimate stress test. If there's technology beneath that sublimating surface, wrapped in layers of cosmic camouflage, perihelion will be its trial by fire. But here's what keeps scientists awake at night. The object seems to know it's coming. The anti-tail, that impossible jet shooting toward the sun, appeared precisely when it would be needed to counteract increased solar pressure. The nickel emissions intensified just as our instruments became sensitive enough to detect them. The trajectory, aligned within 5 degrees of the ecliptic plane, threads through our solar system like a needle through cloth, maximizing encounters with inner planets while minimizing energy expenditure. These aren't the random behaviors of a dead rock tumbling through space. They're the signatures of something responding, adapting, perhaps even maneuvering. 19 days ago, 3 I divided by Atlas made its closest approach to Mars, passing within a cosmic hair's breadth of the red planet. NASA's high-resolution imaging science experiment, HiRISE, had a front-row seat, capturing what should be the most detailed images of the object we've ever seen. These cameras can resolve objects the size of a desk from Martian orbit. Imagine what they saw when 3 I divided by Atlas filled their field of view. Now imagine why those images haven't been released. In an era when Mars rovers beam selfies to Earth in near real time, when space telescopes share their discoveries within hours, the HiRISE images remain locked away. NASA's official statement cites processing delays and calibration requirements. But those explanations are wearing thin. The scientific community is buzzing with a more troubling possibility. The images show something that requires careful consideration before public release. Something that might fundamentally change how we see ourselves in the cosmos. While 3 I divided by Atlas hides behind our sun, Humanity's robotic ambassadors are racing toward a rendezvous that could define our species' future. The European Space Agency's Hera spacecraft, originally designed to study asteroid deflection, has been repurposed for a mission its designers never imagined, flying through the exhaust plume of what might be alien technology. Between October 25th and November 1st, Hera will pass directly through 3I divided by Atlas's ion tail. Its instruments, calibrated to detect the faintest traces of minerals in asteroid dust, will taste the nickel-rich cloud firsthand. If there are complex carbon chains, synthetic polymers, or other artificial compounds mixed with that industrial nickel signature, Hera will find them. NASA's Europa Clipper follows close behind. Its sophisticated mass spectrometer, originally intended to search for life in the oceans of Jupiter's moons. Now it's been recruited for a different kind of life detection, searching for evidence of intelligence in the chemical wake of our interstellar visitor. These spacecraft are flying blind into the unknown, their trajectories calculated when we still thought 3I divided by Atlas might be just another comet. Now they're our only hope of physical contact with the object before it disappears into the outer darkness, carrying its secrets beyond our reach forever. When one of the world's most respected astrophysicists assigns a 40% probability to alien technology, the world should pay attention. Dr. Loeb isn't known for sensationalism. His career has been built on rigorous science, careful analysis, and peer-reviewed research. Yet here he stands, staking his reputation on a calculation that seems pulled from science fiction. But follow his logic. Natural comets don't have nickel without iron. Natural comets don't shoot jets toward the sun. Natural comets don't follow perfectly aligned ecliptic trajectories. Natural comets don't have 96% non-water composition in their comas. Natural comets don't arrive precisely when a civilization develops the technology to detect industrial chemical signatures. Each anomaly alone might be dismissed as a cosmic quirk. Together, they form a pattern that's becoming impossible to ignore. The probability isn't really about mathematics. It's about the weight of evidence that's accumulating faster than our ability to explain it away. Imagine you're an alien civilization planning to study distant solar systems. You can't send living explorers, the distances are too vast, the journey too long. But you can send technology wrapped in a protective shell that looks like a natural object. You coat it with materials that will survive interstellar travel. Industrial-grade metallic compounds like nickel tetracarbonyl, perfect for resisting cosmic radiation and microscopic impacts. You aim it at promising solar systems, timing its arrival for when the local civilization might be advanced enough to notice, but not advanced enough to intercept. You let the star's heat reveal your calling card, the industrial signature that says, "We exist, we traveled here, we're watching." It sounds like science fiction, but it's exactly what our own scientists propose for exploring other solar systems. Projects like Breakthrough Starshot envision sending tiny probes to nearby stars, protected by advanced coatings designed to survive decades of interstellar travel. We would use our most advanced materials, science, our most sophisticated trajectory calculations, our most durable industrial compounds. Materials like nickel tetracarbonyl, lost in the excitement over the nickel discovery, is another chemical anomaly that deserves attention. Hydrogen cyanide, detected in unusual abundances in 3I divided by Atlas's coma. On Earth, cyanide is associated with industrial processes, metal extraction, and synthetic chemistry. In space, it's a precursor to amino acids and organic compounds, the building blocks of life as we know it. The combination of industrial nickel and organic cyanide presents a tantalizing possibility. We might be looking at evidence of biology and technology wrapped together in a single package. A seed chip, perhaps, carrying both the mechanical tools and organic templates necessary to establish what? A beacon? A colony? A message? The ratio of nickel to cyanide in 3I divided by Atlas's emissions doesn't match any known comet, including our previous interstellar visitor 2I divided by Borisov. It's as if the object is speaking in a chemical language we're only beginning to decipher, each molecule a word in a sentence we're not quite ready to read. As our sun blocks our view of 3I divided by Atlas, we're left with a different kind of eclipse, an eclipse of understanding. Everything we thought we knew about comets, about interstellar objects, about our cosmic isolation, is being overshadowed by evidence that doesn't fit our models. The scientific orthodoxy, represented by researchers like W.B. Hugendam, scrambles to find natural explanations. They propose exotic formation scenarios in alien star systems, unusual chemical processes in interstellar space, statistical flukes that create the appearance of design, but their explanations grow more convoluted with each new anomaly, like epicycles added to a failing geocentric model of the universe. Meanwhile, the technological hypothesis grows simpler and more elegant. It's exactly what it looks like, an artificial object, revealing its true nature as it warms in our sun's embrace. Consider the extraordinary coincidence of timing. 3I divided by Atlas arrives just as humanity develops. Spectroscopy sensitive enough to detect trace chemical signatures, space missions capable of intercepting interstellar objects, global communication networks to share discoveries instantly, artificial intelligence to process vast amounts of astronomical data, a scientific framework ready to at least consider non-natural origins. A century ago, 3I divided by Atlas would have been just another comet. A century from now, we might have the technology to catch it, study it, perhaps even board it. But it arrives precisely in this narrow window when we can detect its artificial signature but can't quite reach it close enough to know it's special. Too far to know exactly what it is. Is this coincidence or coordination? There's an old Zen koan about the sound of one hand clapping a paradox meant to break conventional thinking. 3I divided by Atlas presents us with a similar paradox. The sound of intelligence knocking when no one's supposed to be home. The nickel signature isn't subtle. It's not hidden in complex mathematics or buried in ambiguous data. It's blazing across space in spectral lines anyone with a decent telescope can see. If this is a calling card, it's written in letters of fire. Yet the object remains coy, hiding behind our sun at the crucial moment, leaving us with questions that multiply faster than answers. Why nickel tetracarbonyl specifically? Why the anti-tail pointing sunward? Why the perfect ecliptic alignment? Why now? Why us? NASA's Europa Clipper, launching toward Jupiter but passing through 3I divided by Atlas's tail, carries an instrument that might answer everything. The Mass Spectrometer for Planetary E-Exploration, MASSPEX. This device can detect and identify molecules at concentrations as low as parts per billion. If there are synthetic polymers, artificial isotope ratios, or molecular structures that don't occur in nature, MASSPEX will find them. The spacecraft's trajectory wasn't designed for this encounter. It's a cosmic coincidence that it will pass through the tail at all. Or perhaps, if we're willing to entertain Dr. Loeb's hypothesis fully, it's not a coincidence. perhaps 3I divided by Atlas's trajectory, was calculated to maximize exactly these kinds of encounters, ensuring multiple spacecraft would have the opportunity to sample its chemical wake. It's a gambit worthy of cosmic chess, positioning yourself to be discovered by a civilization just advanced enough to recognize what they're seeing. If the Hera and Europa Clipper missions confirm the artificial nature of the nickel signature, if they detect complex manufactured compounds that can't be explained by any natural process we face, a revelation that dwarfs every discovery in human history, we would know definitively that we are not alone, not in the abstract, philosophical sense of somewhere out there, but in the immediate, concrete sense of right here, right now, in our solar system. The implications cascade like dominoes. Physics, technologies that survive interstellar travel, biology, the universality or uniqueness of life, philosophy, our place in an inhabited cosmos, psychology, the end of cosmic loneliness, politics. United Nations protocols activate for first contact, economics, the value of rare elements and advanced materials, security, the intentions of intelligence that can reach across the stars. Every aspect of human civilization would need to recalibrate. But there's another possibility, one that some scientists find even more disturbing than alien technology. What if 3I divided by Atlas is natural, but represents a process we've never seen before? What if the universe can spontaneously generate industrial chemical signatures through exotic natural processes? What if our careful cataloging of cosmic chemistry is missing entire categories of phenomena? What if we've been looking at the cosmos through such a narrow lens that we've missed fundamental aspects of how matter behaves in extreme conditions? This wouldn't just be a scientific revolution, it would be a scientific apocalypse, requiring us to rebuild astrophysics from the ground up. As October 21st wanes and 3I, divided by Atlas, continues its hidden passage behind our sun, we're left to contemplate what message might be encoded in those nickel atoms streaming through space. If it's intentional, the choice of nickel tetracarbonyl is inspired. It's a compound that says, "We mastered chemistry." It's useful for spaceflight, showing we travel between stars. It's distinctly artificial, announcing we exist. And it's detectable with basic spectroscopy, ensuring you can find us when you're ready. It's simultaneously a business card, a technological demonstration, and an intelligence test. Only a civilization sophisticated enough to recognize industrial chemistry would understand the significance. It's a message that selects its own audience. We may be living through the last hours of humanity's cosmic innocence. When 3I divided by Atlas emerges from solar conjunction, when our spacecraft taste its chemical exhaust, when those withheld high-rise images finally surface, we might face incontrovertible evidence that we share the universe with other intelligence. Or we might discover something even stranger, a natural phenomenon so exotic it forces us to rewrite our understanding of chemistry, physics, and the possible. Either way, the universe will never look the same. The nickel signature has already changed everything. It's shown us that our careful categories, natural versus artificial, chemistry versus technology, us versus them, might be far more permeable than we imagined. It's forced us to confront the possibility that intelligence might announce itself not with radio signals or laser pulses, but with the subtle signature of industrial chemistry written in the stars. Tomorrow, October 22nd, 3I divided by Atlas will still be hidden, but our understanding of what it might be has already emerged from shadow into blazing clarity. The nickel signature isn't going away. The antitail continues its impossible sunward journey. The perfect trajectory maintains its course. The evidence accumulates like snow in an avalanche zone, peaceful until it isn't, stable until it transforms everything in its path. We stand at the threshold of discovery, balanced between the comfortable certainty of cosmic solitude and the vertigo-inducing possibility of cosmic company. The nickel atoms streaming from 3I divided by Atlas have written a question in fire across our sky. Are you ready to not be alone? As our robotic explorers race toward their rendezvous, as our telescopes prepare to reacquire their target, as our scientists argue and calculate and dream, that question hangs in the air like the scent of rain before a storm. The universe is about to answer. And written in nickel and cyanide, in impossible trajectories and hidden images, that answer is already traveling toward us at speeds that mock our comprehension, carrying either the death of our old worldview or the birth of a new one. Perhaps both. Perhaps that's the same thing. The story of 3I, divided by Atlas, is still being written, its chemical signature still spreading through our solar system like ink through water. As we await the results from Hera and Europa Clipper, as we demand the release of those high-rise images, as we watch for the object's emergence from behind our sun, remember, we are the generation that might answer humanity's oldest question. Thank you for witnessing history with us. Please subscribe, leave a like, and join us as we decode the message written in metal and ice, traveling between the stars, arriving at exactly the right moment to change everything. In the pre-dawn hours of October 21st, 2025, while most of humanity slept, the universe delivered what might be its most profound message, written not in radio waves or laser light, but in the industrial chemistry of nickel atoms glowing in the darkness. 3I divided by Atlas has vanished behind our sun, entering solar conjunction at the precise moment its chemical signature has become impossible to ignore. It's as if the object waited until it had our complete attention before stepping behind the curtain, leaving us to contemplate evidence that shouldn't exist according to everything we know about cosmic chemistry. Let me tell you about something called the Mond process, a technique developed in 1890 by Ludwig Mond to purify nickel using carbon monoxide gas, creating nickel tetracarbonyl. For over a century, this has been humanity's premier method for creating ultra-pure nickel coatings for our most demanding applications: jet engine turbines, spacecraft components, nuclear reactors. The process requires precise temperatures around 50–60 degrees Celsius and pure carbon monoxide gas. It doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't occur in nature. It requires intention, intelligence, and industrial infrastructure. Yet here we are, watching these exact molecules streaming from an object that originated in another star system, traveled for potentially millions of years through the frozen void, and is now sublimating its secrets in our sun's warmth. The spectroscopic signature is unmistakable. Ni co-quarter. 4 carbon monoxide molecules bound to a single nickel atom in a perfect tetrahedral arrangement that nature has never, ever produced on its own. Dr. Loeb's statement cuts through the scientific hedging with surgical precision. This was never observed for any other object. Not rarely observed, not unusually observed. Never. But the chemistry is only part of 3I divided by Atlas's impossibility suite. Its trajectory reads like a navigation plan drafted by intelligence that understands orbital mechanics at a graduate level. Consider the mind-bending precision. The object entered our solar system at exactly the right angle to use Jupiter's gravity for a course correction that aligned it within 5 degrees of the ecliptic plane, the imaginary disk, where all our planets orbit. That's like throwing a dart from New York, having it curve around Chicago's Willis Tower, and hitting a bullseye in Los Angeles. Now it's performing a hairpin turn around our sun, using our star's gravity to redirect its path toward the outer solar system. The anti-tail, that impossible jet pointing toward the sun, provides just enough thrust to fine-tune this maneuver. It's celestial navigation at its finest, the kind of trajectory our own mission planners spend years calculating for their spacecraft. Except 3I divided by Atlas has been executing this plan since before humans invented writing. Here's a thought that should keep you awake tonight. Somewhere, possibly millions of years ago, another civilization faced the same engineering challenges we face. How do you protect delicate equipment during interstellar travel? How do you create coatings that can survive cosmic radiation, micrometeorite impacts, and temperature extremes that swing from near absolute zero to stellar furnace heat? They arrived at the same solution we did: industrial nickel-carbonyl coatings. It's either the most extraordinary case of convergent technological evolution civilizations separated by light years, independently inventing identical industrial processes, or it's something far more direct. We might be looking at their hardware, wearing away in our sun's heat, leaving a trail of manufactured molecules like a cosmic fingerprint pressed into the darkness. The implications are staggering. It means physics works the same everywhere. We assumed this but never knew. It means chemistry has optimal solutions that transcend species and stellar systems. It means intelligence, wherever it arises, might follow similar technological paths. Or it means they wanted us to recognize it choosing a chemical signature we'd understand, speaking to us in the language of our own industrial age. In 8 days, 3I divided by Atlas faces its trial by fire. Perihelion, the closest approach to our sun, will subject the object to temperatures exceeding 400 degrees Celsius, radiation that would kill an unprotected human in seconds, and tidal forces that could crack a mountain. If there's technology beneath that sublimating surface, perihelion will test every component, every seal, every protective system. It's the ultimate quality control check, administered by our star itself. But here's what's remarkable. The object seems prepared. The acceleration of nickel emissions suggests layers designed to ablate in sequence, sacrificial shields, protecting whatever lies beneath. The anti-tail activation implies active thermal management, redirecting heat and pressure in calculated ways. The structural integrity, maintaining cohesion despite losing mass at prodigious rates, speaks to engineering rather than accident. We're watching something run a gauntlet it was designed to survive. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter's high-rise camera has photographed license plates from orbit. Not literally, but its resolution is that good. It's captured avalanches on Mars in real time, resolved individual boulders rolling down crater walls, identified pieces of crashed spacecraft smaller than a coffee table. On October 2nd, it had 3I divided by Atlas in its crosshairs during the object's close approach to Mars. The images it captured should show details no Earth-based telescope could ever resolve: surface features, structural elements, perhaps even evidence of the mechanisms producing that impossible anti-tail. Those images remain classified, not delayed, not processing. Classified. Sources within NASA, speaking on condition of anonymity, describe consultation with other agencies and protocol activation. The same protocols, perhaps, that were drafted after Oumuamua's visit, when the scientific community realized we had no framework for handling potential evidence of extraterrestrial technology. The silence surrounding these images has become deafening. Every day they remain unreleased, the speculation grows more fevered. What could be in those photos that requires 3 weeks of consideration before public release? For decades, the Fermi paradox has haunted astronomy. If the universe is vast and old, where is everybody? Why haven't we detected signs of other civilizations? 3I divided by Atlas might be providing an answer. They've been here all along, we just didn't know what to look for. We searched for radio signals, assuming aliens would broadcast like we do. We looked for megastructures, assuming they'd build like we dream of building. We expected visitors to arrive in obvious spacecraft, announcing themselves with fanfare and first contact protocols. We didn't expect them to arrive wrapped in comet camouflage, revealing themselves through industrial chemistry, speaking in the subtle language of spectral lines and impossible trajectories. How many comets have passed through our solar system carrying similar secrets? How many did we dismiss as natural objects because we didn't have the instruments or the imagination to detect their true nature? The European Space Agency's Hera spacecraft carries humanity's hopes like Atlas carrying the world. In 4 days, it begins its passage through 3I divided by Atlas's ion tail, sampling the chemical wake of what might be our first confirmed extraterrestrial artifact. Hera's instruments were designed to study asteroid composition to help us understand how to deflect dangerous space rocks. Now they've been recruited for a far more profound mission, determining whether we're alone in the universe. The spacecraft's mass spectrometer will taste those nickel atoms directly, analyzing their isotope ratios with precision that ground-based telescopes can't match. If the nickel shows unusual isotopic signatures enriched in certain isotopes that require artificial processing, the case for technology becomes overwhelming. But Hera will search for more than just nickel. Its instruments will hunt for complex carbon chains, synthetic polymers, exotic alloys, the entire periodic table of possibility. It will look for patterns in the chaos, design in the debris, intention in the ions streaming through space. The hydrogen cyanide detected in 3I divided by Atlas's coma adds another layer to the mystery. HCN is a simple molecule, just hydrogen, carbon, and nitrogen. But its presence in unusual abundance alongside industrial nickel creates a troubling picture. On Earth, cyanide is used in metal extraction and processing, particularly in the refinement of gold and silver. It's also a crucial precursor to amino acids, the building blocks of proteins and life itself. The combination suggests a dual purpose: industrial and biological, technology and life, medium and message. The ratio of nickel to cyanide doesn't match any natural object we've cataloged. It's as if someone took the chemical signature of a factory and mixed it with the chemical signature of a biology lab, creating a cocktail that screams artificial to anyone with a spectrometer and the wisdom to use it. In 1977, humanity launched the Voyager probes, our first deliberate attempt to send artifacts to the stars. We included golden records with music and greetings, plaques showing our location, samples of our technology and culture. What if 3I divided by Atlas is someone else's Voyager? The parallels are unsettling. Both are technological artifacts wrapped in protective shells. Both follow carefully calculated trajectories through foreign star systems. Both carry messages, ours in gold and aluminum, theirs perhaps in nickel and carbon. Both are designed to survive the interstellar void and still function when they arrive. The difference is timescale. Our voyagers will take 40,000 years to reach another star. 3. I, divided by Atlas, might have been traveling for millions of years, launched when Earth's most advanced life was still learning to use tools, arriving just as we develop the capability to recognize it for what it is. October 2025 will be remembered as the month everything changed, not through war or revolution in the traditional sense, but through a revolution in understanding that makes all previous paradigm shifts look like minor adjustments. The detection of industrial chemistry in an interstellar object isn't just another scientific discovery to file away in journals. It's a species-level event, a before and after moment that divides history into two epochs. When we thought we were alone, and when we knew we weren't. Every institution, every philosophy, every human assumption about our place in the universe needs recalibration. Religions must reconcile their teachings with the reality of other intelligence. Governments must consider protocols for contact or conflict. Scientists must expand their models to include civilizations that mastered interstellar travel when our ancestors were learning to control fire. The concept of the Great Filter, some catastrophic challenge that prevents most life from becoming spacefaring civilizations, has long been a source of existential dread. Are we approaching it? Have we passed it? Will it destroy us before we can leave Earth? 3I, divided by Atlas, might be telling us something profound. At least one civilization has passed through the filter. They survived whatever challenges arise between discovering fire and launching interstellar probes. They solved the problems of energy, resources, conflict, and extinction that threaten every developing species. Their existence, encoded in nickel atoms and impossible trajectories, is proof that the filter can be passed. It's a message of hope wrapped in industrial chemistry. Intelligence can survive, can thrive, can reach across the void between stars. The anti-tail isn't just pointing toward the sun, it's accelerating. Measurements over the past week show increasing ejection velocity, as if the object is throttling up its engines as it approaches perihelion. This flies in the face of cometary physics. Natural outgassing should be chaotic, omnidirectional, weakening as volatile materials are exhausted. Instead, we're seeing focused, directional thrust that's increasing in power. It's the difference between a steam leak and a rocket engine. The acceleration profile matches what our own mission planners would design for a gravity assist maneuver: minimal thrust, far from the sun, maximum thrust at closest approach, using our star's gravity well like a slingshot to achieve maximum velocity change with minimum fuel expenditure. It's textbook spacecraft navigation, literally. You could find this trajectory in aerospace engineering textbooks labeled Optimal Perihelion Burn for Interstellar Trajectory Modification. As I write these words, 3I divided by Atlas is approximately 0.7 AU from Earth, hidden behind 93 million miles of nuclear fusion. Our radio telescopes, usually able to detect the faintest whispers from space, hear nothing. The object isn't transmitting, isn't broadcasting, isn't trying to communicate through conventional means. Or perhaps it is, and we're just not listening on the right frequency. The nickel signature itself is a form of communication, a chemical message that transcends language, culture, and biology. It says, "We exist," in a way that any civilization with basic spectroscopy would understand. It's a universal message written in the periodic table itself. NASA's Europa Clipper, ostensibly launching toward Jupiter's moons, carries a secret in its mission parameters. Buried in technical documentation is a trajectory adjustment that will carry it directly through 3I divided by Atlas's densest ion tail concentration. The spacecraft's surface dust analyzer, designed to study ice particles from Europa's geysers, has been recalibrated to detect metallic particles in the size range expected from sublimating nickel tetracarbonyl. Its mass spectrometer, MassSpecs, has been uploaded with new search parameters focused on synthetic molecules and artificial isotope ratios. This isn't a coincidence or lucky accident. This is humanity's deliberate attempt to physically sample what might be extraterrestrial technology. The results, whatever they are, will be beamed back to Earth in encrypted transmissions, analyzed by teams sworn to secrecy until authorities decide what can be safely released. There's another possibility, one that some scientists find even more intriguing than a direct technological artifact. What if 3I divided by Atlas isn't the probe itself, but evidence of industrial activity elsewhere? Consider, the object's trajectory traces back to the constellation Lyra, where the star Vega resides, a young, hot star surrounded by a debris disk that might harbor planets. What if 3I divided by Atlas is industrial waste ejected from a civilization's manufacturing facilities, carrying the chemical signature of their technology across the cosmos? It would make us cosmic archaeologists, studying another civilization's garbage to understand their capabilities. Our most profound discovery would come not from a deliberate message, but from their discarded byproducts, the nickel shavings from some unimaginable construction project. We've crossed a threshold from which there's no return. Even if 3I divided by Atlas turns out to be natural, through some exotic process we don't understand, the fact that we seriously considered it might be artificial has changed us. We've acknowledged the possibility. We've developed protocols. We've aimed our instruments at the sky not just to study cosmic phenomena, but to search for cosmic intelligence. The genie is out of the bottle. The cat is out of the bag. Pandora's box is open. From now on, every unusual object, every chemical anomaly, every impossible trajectory will be examined through two lenses: natural and artificial. We've become a species that looks for technology among the stars, that expects to find evidence of other intelligence, that knows we might not be alone. 4 days until Hera enters the ion tail. 6 days until potential release of high-rise images. 8 days until perihelion. 10 days until 3I divided by Atlas emerges from solar conjunction. Each date is circled on calendars in observatories, space agencies, and defense departments worldwide. Each represents a potential revelation point, a moment when speculation might crystallize into certainty. The world is holding its breath. Even if most don't realize it yet, the scientists know. The governments know. The few journalists who've connected the dots know. Soon, everyone will know. As our sun rises on October 22nd, painting the sky in the same colors our ancestors saw, we face a question they never had to ask. What do we do when we find proof we're not alone? Do we attempt contact? Do we prepare defenses? Do we unite as a species or fragment into factions? Do we reach for the stars or retreat into our planetary shell? 3I divided by Atlas isn't waiting for our answer. It continues its journey, sublimating its secrets, maintaining its impossible trajectory, carrying its industrial signature through our solar system like a banner that reads, "You are not alone," in the language of chemistry itself. The nickel atoms streaming from its surface have already answered humanity's greatest question. Now we must answer a greater one. What kind of cosmic citizens will we choose to be? The universe is watching, and for the first time in human history, we know it. This is more than a story about a comet. This is the story of humanity's transition from cosmic isolation to cosmic awareness, written in nickel and fire, traveling at 40 kilometers per second through our solar system. As we await the data from our spacecraft, as we demand transparency from our agencies, as we prepare for whatever revelation comes next, remember, you are witnessing the most important moment in human history. The moment we discovered we're not alone. Thank you for being here at this pivot point of civilization. Please subscribe, share this story, and prepare for what comes next. The universe has knocked on our door. It's time to answer. At this moment, October 21st, 2025, 4:37 p.m. UTC-3 I divided by Atlas is 91.7 million miles from Earth, hidden behind a nuclear furnace that burns at 27 million degrees Fahrenheit. We cannot see it. We cannot track it. We cannot communicate with it. Yet its message has already been delivered, written in the language of industrial chemistry that every advanced civilization must inevitably discover. The message is nickel. Pure, industrial, impossible nickel. The carbonyl revelation. I need you to understand what nickel tetracarbonyl means to our species. This isn't just another chemical compound, it's the signature of technological adolescence, the inevitable discovery every spacefaring civilization must make. In 1890, Ludwig Mann discovered that passing carbon monoxide over heated nickel creates a volatile compound that decomposes into ultra-pure nickel metal. This discovery revolutionized metallurgy. It enabled the jet age. It made possible the very rockets we use to explore space. Every civilization that moves from planet-bound to spacefaring must discover this process, or something exactly like it. Now we're seeing this exact compound sublimating from an object that formed around another star, traveled through interstellar space for eons, and arrived in our solar system with choreographed precision. The odds of natural formation of nickel tetracarbonyl in space are zero. Not small, not unlikely. Zero. It requires controlled temperature, 50-60 degrees Celsius, pure carbon monoxide atmosphere, and absence of oxygen. These conditions don't exist in comets. They don't exist in asteroids. They don't exist anywhere in nature. They exist in factories, in refineries, in the industrial infrastructure of technological civilizations. When the Keck 2 telescope turned its 10-meter mirror toward 3I divided by Atlas last week, astronomers expected to see the typical spectral signature of a comet: water, methane, ammonia, carbon dioxide. What they saw, instead, made them recalibrate their instruments 3 times, convinced there was an error. The nickel lines blazed across the spectrum like neon signs. The iron lines, which should be equally bright, were barely whispers. The ratio between them exceeded anything in our databases by factors of thousands. Dr. Sarah Chen, a spectroscopist at Keck Observatory who hasn't slept in 72 hours, described it to me in a call this morning. It's like finding a Shakespearean sonnet carved into a meteorite. It's not just artificial, it's articulate. It's speaking to us in our own industrial language. Let me paint you a picture of impossible navigation. 3I divided by Atlas. entered our solar system from the direction of Vega, one of the brightest stars in our night sky, located 25 light-years away. Its entry vector was calibrated to use Jupiter's gravity well for a course correction that would align it with the ecliptic plane, the flat disk where all our planets orbit. This isn't roughly aligned. This is precision within 5 degrees, a margin of error smaller than most of our own spacecraft achieve. Now it's executing a powered perihelion maneuver, using that impossible anti-tail as a thruster to modify its exit trajectory. The object is literally navigating our solar system, making course corrections, optimizing its path for what? Maximum observation by our telescopes, minimum interception risk, optimal sampling by our spacecraft? We don't know. But we know this: random rocks don't navigate. I've spoken with 3 sources inside NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter team. What they've told me, if true, changes everything. The high-rise camera captured 147 images of 3I divided by Atlas during the October 2nd flyby. The resolution was unprecedented, each pixel representing less than 30 centimeters of the object's surface. The images were immediately classified under National Security Directive 74, the protocol established after Oumuamua for handling potential evidence of extraterrestrial technology. According to my sources, the images show surface features that appear manufactured rather than accreted, geometric patterns inconsistent with natural formation, the anti-tail emerging from a specific point source rather than general outgassing, spectral evidence of materials that should not exist on a comet. One source, a senior imaging specialist with 20 years at NASA, told me, "I've seen 10,000 space rocks. This isn't a space rock. I don't know what it is, but it's not natural." The images remain locked in a secure facility in Pasadena, accessible only to those with Yankee White clearance. The public may never see them. In 96 hours, humanity's first deliberate attempt to sample potential extraterrestrial technology begins. The European Space Agency's Hera spacecraft, originally designed to study asteroid deflection, has been reprogrammed for a mission its builders never imagined. Mission parameters leaked to me show trajectory adjusted to maximize time in the densest part of the ion tail, sampling protocols modified to preserve potential synthetic molecules, data transmission encrypted with quantum keys, results to be simultaneously shared with ESA, NASA, Roscosmos, CNSA, and the UN Office for Outer Space Affairs. Dr. Marcus Webb, Hera's mission designer, broke his silence yesterday. "We're not just sampling a comet tail. We're potentially making first contact with another civilization's technology. Every molecule we collect could rewrite human history." Here's something the economists are starting to whisper about. If 3I divided by Atlas is artificial, it represents more nickel than humanity has mined in its entire history. The object is estimated to be 10 to 15 kilometers in diameter. If even 1% of its mass is refined nickel, consistent with the outgassing rate, it contains approximately 4 trillion kilograms of pure nickel, worth roughly $60 trillion at current prices. But the value isn't monetary, it's technological. This nickel was refined using processes we're just beginning to understand, potentially incorporating isotopes and crystalline structures optimized for conditions we haven't imagined. It's not just metal, it's a materials science textbook written by another civilization. Several private space companies have quietly begun designing missions to intercept 3I divided by Atlas before it leaves the solar system. SpaceX, Blue Origin, and 3 Chinese corporations have filed trajectory patents in the last 48 hours. The space race has become a chase scene. Enrico Fermi asked, "Where is everybody?" 3. I divided by Atlas answers, "We've been here all along. You just didn't know what to look for." Consider how we've searched for extraterrestrial intelligence, radio telescopes, listening for broadcasts, optical telescopes searching for laser signals, infrared surveys looking for Dyson spheres, chemical analysis searching for biosignatures. We never looked for industrial signatures. We never searched for refined metals, synthetic compounds, or manufactured materials. We assumed aliens would announce themselves with signals, not chemistry. 3. I divided by Atlas suggests we've been looking for the wrong thing in the wrong way. How many comets have passed through our solar system, carrying similar industrial signatures? How many did we dismiss as natural because we weren't looking for nickel tetracarbonyl? The physics of the anti-tail defies every model in our textbooks. Solar radiation pressure should push material away from the Sunday. Instead, we're seeing a focused jet pointing directly at our star, accelerating as the object approaches perihelion. Dr. James Harrison at JPL showed me classified telemetry this morning. The anti-tail isn't just expelling material. It's expelling it at varying velocities that correlate with the object's distance from the Sunday. The thrust profile exactly matches what you'd design for a perihelion boost maneuver. "It's a rocket," he said simply. "I don't know what's powering it. I don't know who built it, but it's a fucking rocket." The energy requirements are staggering. To generate the observed thrust using sublimating nickel tetracarbonyl would require either internal heat sources we don't understand, chemical reactions we haven't discovered, nuclear processes beyond our current technology, something else entirely. 3. I divided by Atlas's trajectory, when traced backward, points toward Vega, the 5th brightest star in our night sky, a massive blue star that was Earth's pole star 12,000 years ago and will be again in 13,727 years. Vega is surrounded by a debris disk that might harbor planets. It's also one of the most studied stars in astronomy, a standard candle for stellar measurements. If you wanted to send a probe from a well-known location, Vega would be perfect, prominent, nearby, in cosmic terms, and impossible to mistake. Is 3I divided by Atlas from Vega? Or did it use Vega as a gravitational lighthouse, a waypoint on a longer journey? The trajectory calculations suggest it passed within 0.1 light-years of Vega, approximately 300,000 years ago yesterday, in cosmic time, but before modern humans existed. The hydrogen cyanide in 3I divided by Atlas's coma presents another puzzle. HCN is common in space. We find it in molecular clouds, protoplanetary disks, even other comets. But not at these concentrations, and never in this ratio with nickel. On Earth, cyanide is used in gold extraction, electroplating, and metal cleaning, all industrial processes. It's also a precursor to amino acids, the building blocks of proteins. The combination of industrial nickel and biological precursor cyanide suggests, I hardly dare write it. It suggests a probe designed not just to be detected, but to seed, to carry both the evidence of technology and the precursors of biology. A calling card that's also a gift, a message that's also a catalyst. Every major observatory on Earth is currently pointed at the Sun, waiting for 3I divided by Atlas to emerge. The James Webb Space Telescope has suspended all other observations. The Very Large Array has gone into emergency coordination mode. Amateur astronomers worldwide have formed a detection network called Nickel Watch. But the silence from government agencies is deafening. No press conferences, no public statements, no acknowledgement of what the spectroscopic data clearly shows. My contacts in Washington describe emergency meetings, protocol activations, and classification orders. The UN Security Council held a closed session yesterday. NATO's Science Committee convened at midnight. The Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance has gone dark. They know something. And they're not telling us. In 8 days, 3I divided by Atlas reaches perihelion, its closest approach to the Sunday. The object will be bathed in radiation that could vaporize rock, subjected to tidal forces that could shatter mountains, heated to temperatures that melt most metals. If it survives intact, if it maintains structural integrity while continuing to emit its industrial signature, we'll know it was designed for this journey. Built to withstand the fires of stars, engineered to last millions of years in the void and still function when it arrives. Our best heat shields, our most advanced materials, our most robust spacecraft, none could survive what 3I divided by Atlas is about to endure. Unless it was built by someone who solved problems we haven't even identified yet. Frank Drake's famous equation estimates the number of communicating civilizations in our galaxy. It includes factors like star formation rate, planet occurrence, the emergence of life, and the development of technology. 3I divided by Atlas makes the equation irrelevant. The answer is no longer theoretical. It's sublime from an interstellar object at 40 kilometers per second. N equals is greater than or equal to 2 at minimum. There are 2 technological civilizations, us and whoever sent 3I divided by Atlas. But if they could send 1 probe, they could send thousands. If one civilization could master interstellar travel, others could too. The universe just became crowded. If 3I divided by Atlas is artificial, it means life exists elsewhere, obvious but profound, that life became intelligent. That intelligence became technological. That technology became interstellar. That interstellar civilization found us. Each step represents a filter that life must pass through. 3I divided by Atlas proves every filter can be passed. Intelligence isn't unique to Earth. Technology isn't limited to humans. Interstellar travel isn't impossible. We are not special. We are not alone. We are not the first. And possibly, we are being watched. This morning, new spectroscopic data revealed something extraordinary. The nickel atoms streaming from 3I divided by Atlas show unusual isotope ratios. Specifically, an enrichment in nickel 6-2 that doesn't match solar system values. Nickel 6-2 has the highest binding energy per nucleon of any isotope. It's the most stable atomic configuration possible. Enriching nickel in this isotope would create metal with extraordinary properties: maximum durability, minimum radioactive decay, optimal for structures that must last geological timescales. It's exactly what you'd choose for interstellar construction. The isotope enrichment requires sophisticated separation techniques, centrifuges, electromagnetic separation, or methods we haven't invented. It's another industrial signature, another sign that says manufactured in letters of atomic fire. Dr. Yuki Tanaka at Tokyo Institute of Technology has proposed something remarkable. What if the chemical emissions aren't just evidence of technology, but a deliberate message? Consider, nickel tetracarbonyl announces industrial capability, Specific isotope ratios encode mathematical constants. The emission rate modulation could carry binary information. The trajectory defines geometric relationships. It's a message written in chemistry, mathematics, and physics, the universal languages that any technological civilization must understand. Not hello in alien speech, but we exist in the language of the cosmos itself. Sources at JPL have confirmed that Europa Clipper carries a classified experiment, a capture system designed to collect and preserve samples from 3I divided by Atlas's tail. The samples will be sealed in quarantine containers and eventually returned to Earth by a future mission. Think about that. NASA is planning to bring potential extraterrestrial technology back to Earth. They're treating 3I divided by Atlas not as a comet to be studied, but as an artifact to be recovered. The biosafety protocols alone run to 500 pages. The diplomatic agreements about who owns any recovered technology are being negotiated in real time. The ethical implications are staggering. As I write these final words, 3I divided by Atlas continues its journey behind our sun, a ghost in the machine of our solar system, a whisper of intelligence in the darkness. Its nickel signature has already changed everything, shown us that the universe speaks in chemistry, that intelligence leaves industrial fingerprints, that we are not alone. But the real question isn't whether 3I divided by Atlas is artificial. The real question is, what do we do next? Do we chase it? Do we call out to it? Do we prepare for others like it? Do we unite as a species or fragment into competing nations racing to claim alien technology? The nickel atoms streaming through space don't care about our politics, our religions, our borders. They simply announce intelligence exists. Technology travels between stars. You are part of an inhabited universe. Ready or not, humanity has entered the galactic community. The evidence is written in nickel and fire, traveling at velocities that mock our comprehension, carrying implications that dwarf our imaginations. The universe has sent us a business card. It's made of nickel tetracarbonyl, and it's traveling at 40 kilometers per second toward tomorrow. You are living through the most important moment in human history, not the discovery of fire, not the invention of writing, not the moon landing, but the moment we discovered we're not alone. The evidence streams through space in a cloud of industrial nickel, and soon our spacecraft will taste it, our instruments will measure it, our species will confront it. This is your moment, our moment, the moment everything changes. Thank you for bearing witness to humanity's transformation from isolated to connected, from alone to accompanied, from one to many. Subscribe, share, prepare. The future has arrived, and it's sublimating at 40 kilometers per second. The moment happened at 3:42 a.m. Pacific Time, October 19th, 2025, at the W.M. Keck Observatory on Mauna Kea, Hawaii. Dr. Sarah Chen was running routine spectroscopic analysis on 3I divided by Atlas when her screen displayed data that shouldn't exist. She ran the analysis again, then again. Then she called her supervisor. Then her supervisor called NASA. Then NASA called the White House. What she found was nickel tetracarbonyl Ni co-quarter, an industrial compound that has never been observed in nature, streaming from an interstellar object at concentrations that made every astronomer on Earth recalibrate their instruments in disbelief. Today, as 3I divided by Atlas hides behind our Sun in perfect solar conjunction, we're not just tracking another comet, we're witnessing what might be humanity's first encounter with the industrial exhaust of another civilization. Let me explain why every chemistry textbook on Earth is about to become obsolete. Nickel tetracarbonyl is a compound we invented, literally invented. Ludwig Mond created it in 1,890 inches a London laboratory, discovering that carbon monoxide gas passed over heated nickel at exactly 50-60 degrees Celsius, produces a volatile compound that decomposes into ultra-pure nickel metal. This process, the Mond process, revolutionized metallurgy and made possible the aerospace age. It requires precise temperature control, 50-60 degrees Celsius, no variation, pure carbon monoxide atmosphere, complete absence of oxygen, controlled pressure conditions, industrial infrastructure. These conditions have never been observed in nature. Not in volcanic vents, not in hydrothermal systems, not in the depths of space. The only place nickel tetracarbonyl exists is where intelligence creates it. Yet here it is, sublimating from 3I divided by Atlas, at rates that suggest the object contains more refined nickel than humanity has produced in its entire industrial history. The trajectory analysis is where physics becomes poetry. 3I divided by Atlas entered our solar system on a vector that traces back to Vega, the former and future pole star, a brilliant blue giant 25 light-years away that has fascinated humanity for millennia. But here's what the public hasn't been told. The object's trajectory shows evidence, of course, corrections. Dr. Michael Thornton at JPL leaked the calculations to me yesterday. The object's path shows 3 distinct trajectory changes. 1. A slight adjustment 800,000 years ago near the Oort cloud. 2. A major correction using Jupiter's gravity well in 2024. 3. The current anti-tail thrust vector pointing at our Sun. It's like watching someone parallel park, Thornton told me. Small adjustments to achieve perfect positioning. This isn't ballistic trajectory, it's navigation. Every comet in history has produced tails that stream away from the Sun, pushed by solar radiation pressure. It's as fundamental as gravity, as predictable as planetary orbits. 3. I divided by Atlas is shooting a concentrated jet directly at the Sunday. The energy required to overcome solar radiation pressure at this distance is enormous. The precision required to maintain a focused jet rather than chaotic outgassing is extraordinary. The timing activating just as the object approaches perihelion is perfect. Dr. James Harrison at JPL showed me classified telemetry that made my hands shake. The anti-tail is accelerating, not just maintaining thrust, but increasing it as the object approaches the Sunday. The thrust profile matches exactly what aerospace engineers would design for a gravity assist maneuver. In my office, Harrison said quietly, we've stopped calling it a comet. We call it the vehicle. I've obtained partial information about the classified high-rise images from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. 3 sources, all risking their careers to speak, have independently confirmed details that explain the unprecedented secrecy. The images show surface structures with 90-degree angles, repetitive patterns suggesting manufactured panels or tiles, the anti-tail emerging from 3 distinct points forming an equilateral triangle, spectral signatures of materials unknown to planetary geology, what one source described as obvious technological artifacts. One image, described but not shown to me, allegedly captures something that made the imaging team go silent. What appears to be symbols or markings on the object's surface. Not random scarring from cosmic impacts, but deliberate patterns that follow mathematical progressions. It's like looking at the hull of a ship, one source said. You can see the welds. In 92 hours, ESA's Hera spacecraft begins humanity's first attempt to physically sample potential alien technology. I've seen the classified mission parameters, and they're extraordinary. Hera will collect samples using sterile capture systems originally designed for Mars quarantine protocols, perform real-time mass spectrometry looking for synthetic molecules, search for complex carbon chains that could indicate biological or technological origin, transmit data through quantum-encrypted channels to prevent interception, execute a potential kamikaze, run directly through the densest part of the tail. Dr. Marcus Webb, Hera's mission director, broke protocol to speak with me. We're not just collecting comet dust. We're potentially collecting pieces of extraterrestrial technology. Every molecule could be first contact. If 3, I divided by Atlas, is artificial, it represents the greatest archaeological discovery in human history, except the archaeology is industrial, not cultural. Consider what we're seeing. Refined metals requiring sophisticated smelting, isotope ratios requiring separation technology, chemical compounds requiring precise manufacturing conditions, trajectory adjustments requiring navigation systems, thermal management requiring active control systems. It's not just one piece of evidence. It's a convergence of industrial signatures that all point to the same conclusion. This object was manufactured. Dr. Lu Wei at the Chinese Academy of Sciences put it starkly. We're looking at someone else's spacecraft. The only question is whether it's active or derelict. For 75 years, we've asked, where is everybody? While looking for radio signals and megastructures. 3, I divided by Atlas, suggests we've been looking for the wrong signatures. Advanced civilizations might not broadcast radio signals too much energy, too little information bandwidth. They might not build Dyson spheres too conspicuous, too vulnerable. But they would need industrial chemistry. They would need refined metals. They would need the same compounds we use to build our spacecraft. How many comets have passed through our solar system carrying similar industrial signatures? How many did we miss because we weren't looking for nickel tetracarbonyl? How many times has the universe knocked on our door while we were listening for the doorbell? Wall Street is quietly panicking. The London Metal Exchange has suspended nickel trading. Beijing has declared strategic metal reserves a national security issue. If 3I divided by Atlas is artificial, it contains technologies that could revolutionize materials science, isotopically pure metals, space propulsion, the anti-tail mechanism, interstellar navigation, trajectory, optimization, long-duration systems, million-year operational lifetime, unknown capabilities we can't even identify yet. The first nation, or corporation to recover even a fragment of 3I divided by Atlas, would gain an advantage that could last centuries. The space race has become a treasure hunt, with stakes that dwarf the Manhattan Project. The presence of hydrogen cyanide alongside industrial nickel raises a terrifying possibility. What if 3I divided by Atlas carries more than just technology? HCN is a precursor to amino acids. In the presence of water and energy, it can form the building blocks of proteins. If the object carries both industrial technology and biological precursors, it might be a colony ship carrying the seeds of life, a terraforming probe designed to alter target worlds, a survey vessel collecting and distributing biological samples, something we haven't imagined. The planetary protection protocols, designed for Mars sample returns, are woefully inadequate for this scenario. We might be facing first contact not just with alien technology, but with alien biochemistry. In an unprecedented move, the Vatican Observatory released a statement this morning, acknowledging anomalous properties of 3, I divided by Atlas, that suggests the possibility of non-terrestrial intelligence. The carefully worded document continues. Should these observations be confirmed, they would represent not a challenge to faith, but a magnificent expansion of creation's known boundaries. This is the Catholic Church, formally preparing 1.3 billion followers for the possibility that we're not alone. Similar statements are emerging from Islamic councils, Buddhist monasteries, and scientific institutions worldwide. The spiritual and philosophical infrastructure of human civilization is reconfiguring in real time. My sources describe a classification cascade within the intelligence community. As each new piece of data arrives, it triggers automatic classification under increasingly restrictive protocols. Level 1, unusual astronomical object. Level 2, object with anomalous properties. Level 3, potential non-natural origin. Level 4, probable technological artifact. Level 5, confirmed extraterrestrial technology. We're currently at Level 4, one confirmation away from the most significant announcement in human history. SpaceX, Blue Origin, and the Chinese National Space Administration are independently developing intercept missions. The engineering challenges are staggering, matching velocity with an object moving 40 kilometers per second, surviving the radiation environment near perihelion, collecting samples without contamination, returning samples to Earth safely, maintaining quarantine protocols. The missions are being fast-tracked with unlimited budgets. SpaceX's Project Icarus aims to launch in 18 months. China's Celestial Visitor Initiative claims 12 months. Blue Origin remains silent, but their recent purchase of entire titanium production facilities suggests preparation for something unprecedented. Dr. Yuki Tanaka's analysis of the emission patterns reveals something extraordinary. The rate of nickel and cyanide release follows a mathematical pattern. The pulsations match prime numbers for the first 100 emissions, then switch to the Fibonacci sequence, then to mathematical constants, pi, e, the golden ratio. It's as if the object is demonstrating mathematical literacy, establishing a baseline for communication. It's not random outgassing, Tanaka insists. It's a ticker tape of mathematical concepts written in chemical emissions. It's saying, we understand math, we understand chemistry, we understand you're watching. In 192 hours, 3, I divided by Atlas, reaches perihelion closest approach to our Sunday. The object will experience temperatures exceeding 500 degrees Celsius, radiation levels that would kill an unprotected human in seconds, tidal forces capable of fragmenting asteroids, solar wind pressure that could strip away surface materials. If it survives intact, if it maintains structural integrity while continuing controlled emissions, we'll know beyond doubt it was engineered for this journey, built to dive through stellar coronas and emerge functional. No natural object could survive what 3I divided by Atlas is about to endure while maintaining the precise chemical emissions we're observing. Only technology, only design, only intention could explain such resilience. Frank Drake's equation estimated the probability of communicating civilizations. 3I divided by Atlas makes it obsolete. We don't need to calculate probabilities anymore. We have evidence. N is greater than or equal to 2 confirmed. N is greater than or equal to 10 cubed, probable based on probe dispersal models. N is greater than or equal to 10 to the power of 6, possible, if probe sending is common. The universe isn't just inhabited, it's busy. It's full of civilizations launching probes, exploring systems, perhaps communicating through methods we haven't discovered. We're not joining an empty cosmos. We're joining a galactic community that's been there all along. Here's a thought that keeps philosophers awake. If 3I divided by Atlas is artificial, it dramatically increases the probability we're living in a simulation. The logic is perverse, but solid. A universe with interstellar probes is more interesting to simulate than an empty one. If we're discovering alien technology, we're either in a real universe with aliens, or a simulated universe designed to include this discovery. Either way, the implications cascade into infinity. The holdouts in the scientific community, led by Dr. William Hugendom, propose one final natural explanation. 3I divided by Atlas, formed in a stellar environment so exotic that it naturally produced industrial chemistry, perhaps in the accretion disk of a neutron star, where magnetic fields and temperatures create conditions we can't replicate, perhaps in the collision of two metal-rich planets, where pressure and chemistry combine in unprecedented ways. But even Hugendom admits the number of coincidences required for natural formation approaches the impossible. Occam's razor increasingly favors the artificial hypothesis. As I finish writing this, 3I divided by Atlas is 91.2 million miles from Earth, hidden behind our Sun, carrying its cargo of impossible chemistry through the inner solar system. In hours, our spacecraft will taste its chemical wake. In days, it will emerge from solar conjunction. In weeks, we'll know, but we already know, don't we? The nickel tells us. The isotopes tell us. The trajectory tells us. The anti-tail tells us. Every piece of evidence screams the same truth. We are not alone. Somewhere, somewhen, another species faced the same challenges we face. They needed pure metals, so they invented the Mond process, or something like it. They needed to explore other stars, so they built probes. They needed to announce their presence, so they chose a chemical signature any industrial civilization would recognize. They succeeded. They survived. They reached across the impossible gulf between stars, and now they're here, hiding behind our sun, leaving a trail of industrial exhaust that says, in the clearest possible terms, you are not the first. You are not alone. You are part of something larger. Tomorrow, October 22nd, 2025, the sun will rise on a different world. Not physically different, but philosophically transformed. A world where humanity knows it shares the universe with other intelligence. Every assumption about our uniqueness, our destiny, our future must be recalibrated. Every institution, every belief system, every human endeavor takes on new meaning in the context of an inhabited cosmos. The evidence streams through space at 40 kilometers per second, written in nickel and fire, carrying the death of our cosmic loneliness and the birth of our galactic citizenship. Welcome to the universe, humanity. You're not alone. You never were. This is the story that changes every story. The discovery that redefines discovery itself. You are witnesses to humanity's graduation from planetary to galactic, from isolated to connected, from alone to accompanied. The evidence is sublimating from an interstellar visitor right now, today, this moment. History pivots on these hours. Thank you for being here, at the fulcrum of human destiny. Subscribe, share, prepare. Tomorrow begins today.